which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Dorio.
on your hometown station, KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. No wonder I was talking about the senior center.
Yeah, see, it's on your
We
mind.
were just
It's
talking
okay.
about it. Oh, my goodness. Okay. And our in-studio guest this morning, as if we don't know who he is Tom Burton from Providence Holy Cross.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to see you here,
Yeah.
other than out there waiting to come in here.
Exactly. I feel like I've been allowed on the other side of the door.
Yes,
I'm in the
you
room
have.
Of greatness right now.
Yeah. What are we going to be talking about today,
I have
Tom?
absolutely no idea. Yeah, I figured
Okay.
we'd make it just an open game. We've got so many interesting things coming up. We've got really weird weather. At the hospital, for some reason, I know we've talked about falls and such, we've had more hip fractures in the last 7 days than we've seen in the last month and a half.
Why?
I don't know. I don't
Did
know.
the Earth shake a little bit on
Well, I
us
was
and
wondering if gravity
volcanoes in Hawaii affecting us?
There's a lot going on.
Fog, or what is
the,
this?
The fog. The mist. Who knows? But it was just very,
or
very
is
odd.
or is it too much medication?
It's possible that
be.
it could be. I just saw that KHTS ran a story yesterday regarding opiate deaths, specifically with fentanyl. On the climb in 2017, seeing numbers that we never saw before. So
Here in California.
Yeah,
They've
very
seen
scary.
it in the Midwest a lot. But it's still on the uptick, and we're not able to halt it yet. And, the question is why. And, there are probably a lot of finger pointing all over the place, Tom, but right now I don't think we have the answers because we haven't been able to stop it. I can tell you that as a physician, I know that, I write for fentanyl, but I write for the patch. There is no such thing as an oral fentanyl that I can prescribe. So all the fentanyl pills that are coming in that one gets and overdoses, they break it down. Those are coming from outside the country.
Right.
And I can't point the fingers at the doctors on that one. But it's still a big problem. People are getting their hands on it, and it's lucrative to somebody, and it's infiltrating our society in a terrible, terrible way.
Well, I would almost give the impression that fentanyl is probably not the gateway drug, that something led to this, whether it be some form of need or however. That's one of the concerns we're seeing right now in America is there seems to be an extremely large amount of opiate consumption. We're recognizing that patients are actually saying that they can't even find it at the pharmacies because the pharmacies are running out.
Well, that's for pain.
Correct.
That's why they're taking it.
Right.
For
So,
pain.
well, the question then sits: are we managing pain by trying to disguise it, or are we actually treating pain and actually trying to go after the root cause? Which, as a physical therapist, is a big thought for myself, is to be able to actually figure out why are they having the pain and see if we can't do something to help with that too.
Well, it's interesting because all forms of arthritis, it's all painful
Right.
at some point. And how do you stop that pain? What do you do physically for someone who is suffering from arthritis?
Right.
Well, the choices that have been given to physicians like myself who can write prescriptions have the antidote for that is to write for an opiate. And, I'm a scientist. I have a master's degree in toxicology and pharmacology as well as my MD degree. But I know that there have been ongoing problems with opiates that have a high addictive level for our patients. It's a function of the receptors in the brain, and these opiate receptors then, when they're released and the medication is not there, then one develops a craving for it and they have to get more. And of course, the pharmaceutical companies have been loud in their salesmanship to physicians to say, hey, this is the way to treat it. Write a prescription for this because the addicting factor is not real high, which is absolutely not true. So I've told the story before of one of my colleagues who she graduated with me with honors and became a physician. She came out of Stanford, and she broke her ankle. She had lots of pain and took opiates for it and got addicted. And she lost her California license to practice medicine until she could recoup it and, go through therapy to get her license back. But this is an individual who just didn't have those qualities of addiction in the past, but once she started taking medication, boom, she got into trouble because of it, and she lost her license and, almost lost her career. So it can happen to anyone, and I think it's a physiologic problem that everybody is facing right now. We have to be able to cope with that and find a better way of what Barbara is talking about, finding a better way to manage our pain.
Right.
Well, it's interesting because there's so many side effects of these different medications. And now, when they're being advertised, especially on television, they are now beginning to give information about possible side effects. I know I was on one shot of methotrexate for 6 years, once a week. 6 years.
Right.
Then they all of a sudden stopped making it for 4 or 5 months. And of course, I didn't have any. And during that time, I suffered severe indigestion. Come to find out, I had lymphoma, almost 4th stage lymphoma,
Wow.
which from what I am understanding, that is a side effect of methotrexate, just like
Correct.
Enbrel that you see advertised. And now they say possible cancer side effect. And I don't take anything anymore. No, if I hurt, tough, I hurt.
Right. Well, now, I'm up early enough in the morning at 4 a.m. and get ready for work, and we're actually seeing commercials now for pharmaceuticals that will help take care of side effects of taking the opiate. So you have the
Incredible.
opiate-induced constipation medications are now out, because they realize that there's going to be this cascade of issues that will occur, and now that's just another something that needs to be treated as well.
Yeah, it's a vicious circle. It really is. And I have psoriatic arthritis, and there are things that I do not eat because of the fact that it helps make it painful for me.
Correct.
So I've completely changed my diet because of so many, and chocolate is one of them.
Oh.
And I love
For
chocolate.
the good or for the bad?
And chocolate is bad
Bad.
if you've
Yeah.
got my type of
Poor Barbara.
arthritis.
Well,
Oh, it is.
we'll
And
take care of it for you.
tomatoes
Yeah.
are bad.
Well, anything acidic
Oh, yeah.
usually
Yes.
can be very problematic.
Anything that's highly acidic. If you've got something that's mildly acidic, you can eat it once in a while.
Right.
Not,
But,
not potatoes, though.
No. Well, they're full of carbohydrates and sugar, lots of sugar.
Right. I've only had the potatoes, so I don't know.
But last week, just as a follow-up, what our discussion was, you have arthritis, Barbara, but yet you were using a salve or an ointment that seemed to be effective for your arthritis, and that was kind of a revelation for you because you didn't have to take a drug for that. You were just rubbing it on your joints and getting relief from that. And it wasn't just something like Bengay or anything like that.
No.
So you seem to have gotten some pain freedom from that. So that
Yeah.
did seem to help. So there are methods and ways that we can start to use different modalities of treatments that are just not out there. And of course that leads us in a segue to, maybe we don't want to go that route, but this discussion should be open to the use of cannabis and CBDs and THCs and things like that, which is, I think it's legal now in 9 states.
Right.
And we're kind of heading in a direction where more and more there's going to be a cascade. And, it doesn't seem appropriate that we should say this is illegal and then all of a sudden we say now it's legal because we can make tax money off of it and put money into our coffers. And I really do have a problem with that. I want to make sure that there's a breathalyzer for marijuana, so that we don't have people, driving under the influence like they do with the other gateway drug, which is alcohol.
Right. Well, in talking with my son, I remember when they went to the ballot a bunch of years ago. Originally, he said, "Well, you're old, and you just don't understand." And I said, it's not really as much of that, but I said, I'm fine with that. I mean, I enjoy a glass of wine, but there are requirements that you have to stay under certain thresholds to be able to be safe. So, do they actually have that for marijuana? And he said, well, I don't know. And I said, don't you think that would be important to know how to test for it? Is there a legal limit? Is there an illegal limit? And how do you determine that? So you can't put something on the ballot in October or November and expect by January 1 to have that type of a standardized test in place.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
No,
So there's certain
and it
planning
didn't.
goes
It
on.
didn't happen.
Exactly.
You know what irritates me more than anything is they have known that marijuana is going to become legal sooner or later because of its healthy parts of it. And they've done absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And one of the
you
reasons,
know, which
Barb,
irritates me. And from my son's point of view, he has a dispensary, has had for 10, 12 years. And, of course, it's black market. And, of course, if a town or a city like Santa Clarita prohibits it, they're going to go underground again, whether it's legal or not. But it's interesting because when I went through that cancer bout and was in so much pain, I was prescribed hydrocodone. And my son came down to visit, and he saw that bottle on my coffee table. He said, "What is that?" And I said, "Hydrocodone." He said, "Mom," he said, "that stuff will eventually kill you. It will destroy every organ in your body." He said, "Let me get you some CBD pills." And he came down the next day with a bottle of CBD pills. My pain was gone in less than 2 days.
And you only use, you had mentioned you only use 3 doses.
Yeah, it was just 3
That
times
was
a
it. That was
day,
it.
if that.
Yeah, it's impressive.
But, and it's amazing. I have the cannabis oil now that if I'm in pain anywhere on my body, I rub it on there and it's gone.
Right.
Pain is gone. It's amazing stuff. It really is.
Well, I know they just motioned we'll be going to a break pretty soon, but Dr. Dorio, maybe you might be able to ask, or I can ask, for people who are using topicals such as that, is that something that's going to end up testing positive, maybe for people who are employees, where marijuana usage is still deemed as being against the employee handbook?
Yeah, and I don't know the answer to that. I think that creams, lotions, ointments, things like that are absorbed, and you will get it into your system. And I believe if somebody were to ask me that, like an athlete, for instance, I would say, yeah, you're probably going to test positive for it. So I would be very leery of someone saying that it won't test positive, that you're going to have to, be careful that if there's judgment to be made upon you for using drugs legally or illegally, that it could jeopardize your career or whatever you need it for, and make sure that you are, not on medication like they don't want you to be on. So,
And we need to take a break, don't we? Evil eye over there looking at us. Whoa, watch out. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
There's a classic diner in town that combines old-fashioned dining with a hip 21st century menu. They call it trendy nostalgia. They call it Kathy's Deli. Kathy's Deli is a classic diner. Homemade jams, freshly baked breads, and even unique flavored coffee creamers made on site. Experience the fresh, new, yet old-fashioned taste of your local hometown diner. Serving traditional and unique breakfast and lunch delights every day from 7 to 3. Kathy's Deli on Lyons Avenue off Wayman Court.
Little Eye Leaders is the newest preschool in the Santa Clarita Valley. At Little Eye Leaders, our outstanding teachers lead with intellect, perspective, and heart. That means our programs provide a warm, nurturing atmosphere to meet the unique needs of each child. We believe that play is a powerful form of learning for young children. That's why our kids have every opportunity to learn through the magic and excitement of play. Parents, schedule a tour today by calling 303-0400 or online at littleeyeleaders.org.
There's a very good reason Gilbertson and LaCourneau have been voted Santa Clarita's #1 orthodontist for 8 years in a row.
Honestly, it's our team.
Dr. Megan LaCourneau.
I think for me, what makes it stand out is when I have patients that come up to me and say, we have never been in a doctor's office that feels like this. Our team is a family, and we really get along, and we are really passionate about what we do, helping our patients get the smiles they want and deserve.
Dr. Megan LaCourneau of Gilbertson and LaCourneau.
Embrace your smile.
EmbraceYourSmile.com.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo! And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills! Hey, don't get too close.
And the hits keep on coming.
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard.
Ibex is back.
Harder, better, Fossa stronger.
And a new track from Kendrick Lemur.
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa.
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM-1220, your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station, KHTS. We're talking with Tom Burton from Providence Holy Cross Hospital. And, you know, we've talked a little bit about falls recently for our seniors, that, you know, there's a cluster of falls that you've seen statistically at Holy Cross Hospital. And, you know, during our break, we were trying to figure out why. You know, did the earth shake, or, you know,
possibly
the volcano is playing a role, or you know, what is this? Why do these clusters happen? And you know, when they start to happen, we need to look around and say, hey, you know, be careful. Make sure that this is a time and a moment. Other people are doing it. Why, we don't know, but just be careful.
Right, and you know what? And I'm really not entirely too sure, but I do have a sneaky suspicion that, you know, you wouldn't know it from looking outside today, but the weather has gotten a lot more pleasant. And, you know, we're going to start coming out of the house. We're going to start doing more in the garden. We're going to be doing more things out in the community. You know, and here in Santa Clarita specifically, we have a tremendous amount of opportunities outdoors to be able to enjoy things. And I just wonder if it has something to do with the fact that our patients' activity levels are starting to increase, and they start to challenge themselves more. And maybe they weren't prepared for the challenge. And it was interesting because, Barbara, you had mentioned, you know, that as we get older, And as you were saying that, I was looking at my bifocal and realizing that I have to take the first 8 feet for granted because I lose it in my reading spot. And so if I can't remember what was occurring in those 8 feet, just continuously memorizing it, I'm going to miss the crack. I'm going to hit something.
Or the
I'm
step
and it happens on a regular basis, believe it or not.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before. On my 75th birthday, I was actually in France, and I was climbing the Eiffel Tower.
On the outside?
Climbing it, up the steps.
Spider Barbara.
up the steps.
Right.
It was great going up. I had no problems. But then I had to come back down.
Just half the battle, right?
Oh, my goodness. It took me longer to come down than it did to go up.
Yeah.
And I had to hold on, watch every step I took.
Right.
Because I have trifocals. And oh, my goodness. You can look out fine. Going up, there's no problem.
Right.
Coming down, I had to do this. And my head was going up and down, holding onto the rails. It was a nightmare coming back down.
Should have took your glasses off.
I should have taken the elevator down.
Oh yeah,
right.
I walked up, but took the elevator down.
Yeah, well, Russ
funny.
took the elevator up, and he said, "You're going to pay to walk up?" I said, "Yes, I'm going to pay to walk up." And he was up there waiting for me when I got there.
Pretty cool.
But what an experience.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
you throw in astigmatism in
Oh,
there, and
my
all you have to do
goodness.
is move your head just really quickly, and you can get that little waver on the outside of your lens. And, a lot of the times, we see that visual impairment, is something that becomes a safety concern. And, though it was funny, back when I was treating years and years ago, we would bring it up. But until you've actually experienced it,
That's right.
All the advice was all sage back then. But when you actually experience it, it's really something.
Yes,
really,
it is.
really
It's
something.
completely different.
Yeah,
completely
stairs specific.
different.
Stairs are a scary thing. Gravity
Oh,
is a scary thing.
Very, very
So,
scary.
yeah.
And
Barbara,
even what? Go ahead.
You had mentioned about drugs and medications that can cause problems too, and leading to falls in our patients and fractures and things like that. So
That's true.
That's playing
That's
a role,
true.
and that needs to be looked at very carefully to assure that the person's not overdosed with a blood pressure medication, for instance, and their blood pressure is getting too low or their pulse is getting too low. It gets pretty scary after a while.
Oh yeah, it does. I had to laugh at myself this morning. I was bending over to clean the cat box, and I lost my balance, and I almost went into the potty box. And I'm thinking, Barbara, stop it!
Your cat would have been jealous.
What I'm going to have to do is start getting down on my hands and knees and taking care of it that way.
Right.
But then I have to hold on to something to
get
get
back
myself back up again.
Right. Plan
This-
ahead. And
Yeah, this getting older business is for the
well, you have
birds.
to train for it. See, that's one of the things.
Exactly.
It's so funny. We're coming up to vacation time right now, and I can tell you, there's going to be a number of people who are looking forward to going off on a wonderful cruise and wonderful vacation, who have been otherwise mildly sedentary during the winter, in the early spring, and that to be able to actually enjoy a vacation where there might be a lot of walking, it's like training for a marathon. They say you want to be able to, if you're training for a marathon, you want to be, by the time you're getting ready to run it, you want to be running 3 times that distance each week. So theoretically, if you're going to go on, let's just say let's say you're going to go to Italy. A lot of walking goes on. You might put on 3 to 5 miles a day, which is not a problem. And if it's a 6-day trip, you're looking at 18 to 30 miles. Theoretically speaking, you should be walking probably close to 30 miles every week leading up to that, just so that you can survive your vacation. And you hate to think about you have to survive a vacation.
But that's very true. I know Russ and I don't travel anymore because he has Parkinson's of the legs and has to use a walker, and it's just not worth it.
Right.
But all the other countries we went to, we did a lot of walking.
It is a lot of
But
walking.
you're right. You have to train
Right.
before you do something like that because you don't realize what a drain it is on your system.
Correct. And it gives a good understanding, though, too, is when you go off to some of the other countries and you actually get the opportunity to visit, you do so much walking, but so do they. And that kind of kicks into this whole idea that exercise is an important portion towards your own physical health. You know, in France, you know, my gosh, I mean, cheese is like a main dish. And you know, for us here, in a sedentary world, we may not actually be able to tolerate that much cheese, and it may not be the healthiest option that we have. But, you know, they have the opportunity to be able, they can smoke, they drink, they eat rich foods, but they're very physically active.
Walk a lot.
So, and that has a benefit, you know, and Dr. Dorio, you will, I'm sure, will agree, you know, blood pressure issues, diabetes, you know, one of the cornerstones to treatment is to be able to exercise. So
That's true. Well, we went to the Greek Isles quite a few years ago, and walking on some of those streets, if you want to call them streets, it's unbelievable because you've got these large rocks that you're walking on. They're embedded in the ground, but it's very, very dangerous, and you have to really walk carefully and watch where you're going.
Got to train. And,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Now, the other piece, too, and I remember we had Dr. Michael on our show a bunch of months ago, who's a gerontologist with us at the hospital at Holy Cross, and he was indicating that one of the problems that we are running into is that as patients are getting older, their reaction to medication changes, and that over-medication, especially, you know, in the seniors, is very, very common if their dosing doesn't change from when they were younger, in that they may not require as much medication, which, you know, all of a sudden you have people who are being treated for hypertension, they're on medications that might be overcorrecting, and now all of a sudden, here you are leaning over and you get the spins. So
it's very disconcerting. And I think to myself, well, Barbie, you just have to plan ahead, watch what you're doing, because I'll take off down the hallway going 90 miles an hour, you know. Got to get, whoa, slow down, Barbara, slow down, you know. And I have to slow myself down. My mind goes really fast, but my body is getting older and it's getting tireder. It doesn't want to go as fast.
Right. Well,
it really doesn't. It can't.
One of our family members was just recently diagnosed with Parkinson's, and trying to get him to understand that, you know, your brain is working on Wi-Fi, your muscles are working on dial-up, you know, so your brain wants to go ahead and do what it needs to do. However, that message is delayed, you know, and a lot of the times our minds get ahead of ourselves so much to a point where our head is asking our bodies to do things that maybe we just shouldn't or couldn't do or won't do. You know, and that, you know, we kind of have to kind of pre-think a lot of this stuff out, which is really tough.
In addition, though, when people are more active during the springtime and the summertime, they will tend to become dehydrated, and that volume level, that lower volume level, can lead to some symptoms also, especially if you're already on let's say, a diuretic, a water pill, to help with blood pressure, let's say, or kidney problems, that those in themselves can add to the dehydration that one might experience. And if you're even a little bit more active, or if you're planning to travel and you are traveling, you have to be aware that you have to remain hydrated. And, you know, remember that, you know, in some countries, like European countries, you might be drinking wine or alcohol, and alcohol can cause dehydration as well. So it could add to the whole problem. So it's hard to understand and know all these factors that are taking place when one is traveling and trying to sustain themselves in a different environment. But, you know, one of the things that does go on is that you have to maintain that, what we call homeostasis, to allow your body to continue to function without any adverse problems. Getting dizzy and lightheaded is a sign. It's a symptom that you will experience, and you might, you know, you might sense it, but as soon as you start sensing something like that, you better think right away, okay, what is going on? You have to pay attention to it, because that could tell you that you need to to adapt to what's going on to make sure that things don't happen adversely down the line. So traveling is difficult, and just being out there is difficult. When you come in from the garden, after like an hour or two of working there and you feel just kind of worn out, just make sure that, you realize that, getting some fluids is going to be helpful to you.
Absolutely.
They often say that if you actually are thirsty, it's already too late.
That's right.
A lot of the times you actually have to.
I've been told
don't wait until you're thirsty.
That's right. Don't wait until you're thirsty.
Right.
That's why I keep a glass of water with me. I take it no matter which room I go into, because otherwise I forget it, and before I know it, I'm thirsty.
Right.
And by that time, it's too late. I should have been drinking all along. So I've learned to take my glass of water with me.
You just keep it in your, well, mine's coffee, but but yes, no, you're absolutely right. Well, I think the other thing too is that it really does take a village, and it's very, very difficult for one person to try to think of all of those things in order to allow for a safe vacation or safe time in the yard, or however that we need to bring in people to help support that, to know how to appropriately train, safely train. So as you mentioned earlier, if I have arthritis ever, what am I supposed to do? Well, maybe we need to modify a few things, but we still need you to be functional. So let's modify to decrease the stress on the joint, but allow you to maintain independence and function. Maybe there might need to be an assistive device. Maybe we need to change your workout a little bit. Maybe you don't need to be as ballistic in your activities to be able to train that. And then knowing that you're going to be traveling, keep an eye, talk with your physician. Your physician will have a lot of these wonderful, helpful hints, for safety during travel. And if you're going off to Greece and you know that they've got the cobblestone roads everywhere, then balance is going to be a challenge. Then talk with your physical therapist, talk with your chiropractor, find out if there's any activity or exercise that you could be doing that would help improve your sense of balance prior to going.
Wearing the right shoes, wearing the right clothes, carrying hydration with you. I mean, there's so many factors.
And coaching too. Now, it's so funny. You have people who take religiously, they take their blood pressure medication at 7 in the morning, and then they fly off to England, and 7 in the morning is here 7 hours earlier, I think, or something like that. And then they take it at 7 o'clock again. So now they've taken too much medication, and all of a sudden they're passing out on the street.
That's right.
And that's actually a story that we hear an awful lot, not only with hypertension, but also with certain medications for mania, for depression, things like that, where you keep it to the schedule of the clock at where you're at, as opposed to the actual dosing that you should be doing, and you either over medicate or under medicate, and it really offers an awful lot of challenges. And getting the medical care, I have had family who've had to receive it in England. They said it was a wonderful experience while they were there, but they don't have any of your history.
That's very true.
Ideally, it's a little disconcerting when you have to go in a different country or into a different state, even for that matter, to be able to receive care for something that maybe they don't have all of the history as well.
And that's a great point, because when you do travel, you should be carrying paperwork or a flash drive or something that shows your history, so people know your list of medications, your background, if you have heart problems, kidney problems, or whatever it is. I will tell you, the physicians will be thankful that you're able, especially if you can't give a history or a family can't give a history, that you have paperwork that will show that history. And most people who will have that information, and they'll have it with their passport and all their documents. They'll be carrying that paperwork in a big envelope that might be red, and with big lettering on it that says medical history, which will have everything in it that can tell somebody who might be looking at you medically at that point to give you assistance. So I think it's important that we go prepared. And walking up the Eiffel Tower is really great, but you have to, other than taking your glasses off on the way down, the question has to be, can you have paperwork just in case you didn't get down or you didn't get up? That's the important thing that we just forget, don't we, as seniors, and anybody in terms of traveling.
Really, anybody. And we use this as a learning piece in our total joint program at the hospital. Is in preparation for coming into the hospital, our request is take a 3x5 card or a 4x6 card. On the left side, put your prescriptive medications. In the middle, put your over-the-counter medications. On the right, put all the supplements that you take, dosages and such. On the back, put your medical history and your surgical history. Keep that on your person. My understanding is paramedics now know to look for that. If you have to go in someplace, you just hand it. They Xerox both sides, and they hand it back to you, and they have the entire information. Otherwise, you're reliant on memory. And, if it wasn't for the fact that I could fit my cast on my clutch on my 68 Bug when I was a kid, I wouldn't have remembered it was my left foot that I had broken. So, otherwise it's hard to remember all of these things.
Yeah, that's quite interesting because Russ fell a couple of weeks ago, and I can't pick him up. So I had to call 911. They came out. They were right up the street from us. They just scooted on down, and I had to give them his list of medications and all this kind of stuff as to that might have possibly been a reason for his fall. But it wasn't. It was the Parkinson's of the legs. He's getting very, very unsteady.
Right.
And has to be watched constantly,
Right.
Because there's no way you can stop a dead weight fall. No way you can.
Right, and it's going to be it'll be very harmful, not only them, but also harmful to you if you try.
That's exactly right.
Which is a scary thing. And it's the thing that we mention a lot, and we see this at the hospital a lot, is the person walking around with the grocery bag full of prescription bottles. And it's a family member usually who will place it down and say, I'm not sure exactly what it is that they're taking, but
here it is.
But here's everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Looks like we need to take another break. There's that evil look. Look at that. He's following my cue.
All smiles.
There's a big smile there, too. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
On Saturday, June 9, the Church on the Way Santa Clarita is hosting Medical Mission Adventures, a free clinic that offers medical, dental, and vision services. This event allows those without insurance to receive the best professional care at no cost. The doors open at 9 a.m. on June 9, and services are rendered first come, first serve. The Church on the Way Santa Clarita is located on Cinema Drive. For more information about this event and others coming up, visit our website at tcotwsc.org.
Your building sign is essential in getting customers to your location. Feathers can help get your business noticed. They walk you through each phase of your building sign project, providing special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will give you a sign you can be proud of. Your building sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Feathers on Soledad in Canyon Country, across from the Edwards Theater. Or go to feathersphoto.com. That's feathersphoto.com.
Marinated strips of steak grilled to perfection with onions, peppers, jack and cheddar cheese, ranchero sauce. Mouth-watering yet? I thought it would. I could keep going, but I won't tease you like that. I'll just tell you where to go. Cabo Cabana and Stevenson Ranch, where fresh is just the beginning. Delicious tacos, burritos, enchiladas, tostadas, Baja Authentic style Mexican food that you just won't be able to resist. What more could you ask for? Cabo Cabana, on the old road in Stevenson Ranch.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
If you are at least 55 years of age and have a torn or irreparable rotator cuff, you may be eligible for a no-cost clinical trial at Southern California's Orthopedic Institute's Valencia Clinic. Call 818-901-6600 extension 1525 or visit rotatorcuffstudy.com to learn about a study of an investigational shoulder implant. Call 818-901-6600 extension 1525 or visit rotatorcuffstudy.com. Sponsored by Microair Surgical Instruments.
Now FM, 98.1 FM and AM-1220, your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host Dr. Jean Dorio on your hometown station KHTS. And we're speaking with Tom Burton from Providence Holy Cross, and we have run the gamut.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And we got all hot and bothered during our conversation at the break, too.
That's true.
No,
sometimes we have great conversations between the moments that we have live mics. I mean, it's there's a lot of things going on here in Santa Clarita that are very positive in terms of healthcare and taking care of our seniors, and that's important that we recognize them. But we also sometimes recognize the not so obvious that we feel can jeopardize the health care of our seniors. But we don't want to broadcast that out there too much, because it's our goal is to make sure that our seniors who are listening get positive information. And I think, Tom,
Correct.
you coming on the show and helping us out and deal with that has been just a great hope for them to make sure that, one, they don't fall,
Right.
two, they don't fall going down the steps of the Eiffel Tower, and three, though, that they're aware of medications and increasing exercise, and that we have a cluster of falls taking place that they have to be careful.
Right. It's absolutely true, and it's, I think information is one of the best things that we can do.
Absolutely.
I don't know if Santa Clarita actually appreciates the fact that you guys are coming on every week, I think, right?
Yep.
Every week.
For
And
14 years?
We're going heading into our 14th year.
That's impressive. I mean,
Yeah,
that
when,
is
when the station KHTS opened as KHTS, we were one of the 3 shows that started here in Santa Clarita.
That's
and
great.
we've been
longevity.
going on for that amount of time.
Well, it was going on before you and I got on there, too.
Yeah, I came on the 3rd week.
I mean, 13 years ago, it wasn't even the senior hour at that time, right?
Yeah,
it was. It's always been the senior hour.
Oh, it's always been
Always
senior.
been the senior hour,
Okay.
yeah.
You've just aged with it.
Yeah, we've tried to. We haven't fallen as much as people think.
No, but
but it's been fun. It's been fun, trying to bring to this community basic knowledge about, what it takes, what one needs to do when you're getting older. And, we hope that the city of Santa Clarita, and I think many of the city council people and dignitaries here listen to our show. But we want to make sure that Santa Clarita remains a senior-friendly city. And you have to be proactive in that process, because, seniors, when they're 65 years old and Medicare started then, that was understandable, because the life expectancy was 66 years old. Now it's 80-something, 86 years old, and people are living longer. So we need to know, how do we deal with those seniors? So one, they don't feel a burden to the community, but they also have hope that they can have a worthy life, having a good senior center, having a good transportation, assuring that their medicines are kept up to date, and making sure that society is recognizing that sometimes they will have problems, but that we can do something about it. And I think, Tom, you coming on the show today has allowed that, and we value that information that comes from Providence Holy Cross, giving to our patients here in Santa Clarita, that kind of information that makes life easier here for them.
Right. We would be absolutely happy that the only reason anyone would come to Holy Cross was more for a social visit. I would always prefer that. But if they do need to come in for whatever the reason is, and I think that's one of the things that Holy Cross has done as far as with their partnerships with Exer, who is a tremendous urgent care over in Stevenson Ranch area, who are staffed by board-certified emergency room physicians. Our relationship with City of Hope to bring the brilliance of Duarte out to Santa Clarita, so that way patients don't actually have to be I'm going to say inconvenienced. I mean, not that any disease process isn't already the inconvenience, but to actually have to drive the hour, 2 hours to receive care, now that you can do it in your own backyard. The work that we're doing with Children's Hospital LA, working with our NICU, and having 24-hour-a-day physician representation from Children's, caring for our children. a variety of different things. And just the fact that with Santa Clarita, earlier this month, we had Providence and the SCV, which is a foundation piece where we went and put a nice event together for bringing more awareness to Santa Clarita regarding our NICU, our neonatal ICU, and that we need to expand another 6 beds, and it is our goal to be able to do that because right now we actually have babies who are having to leave the hospital away from their parents in order to get that care. And so Holy Cross is here, and anything that we have the ability to be able to do, not only for us to be better ourselves, but to also for the betterment of the community, we're on board.
And that's exactly what you're doing, Tom. We appreciate your being on the show today. It's always very informational, Barb. I mean, we not only Eiffel Tower, but also just the information that in terms of medications and these cluster falls that we have been seeing for. Thanks, Tom, for being on the show. We always welcome you to come back and spread this wealth of information.
Well, thank you very much.
We are sponsored by Advanced Audiology and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.